I was talking to my mom on the phone last night, and I couldn't remember, I still don't know what it's called, but I was trying to say, like, the positives and negatives, but I told her, I was like, like, the benefits and doubts, and she was like, what? Is that all rolling?
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Lydia Dales. I'm serving here on the field with Team Nasavi in southern Mexico. As I've been on the field, I've learned a lot, and the Lord's grown me a lot in my relationship with Him. And I want to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned, that He's been teaching me, and then also some of the challenges and struggles that I faced being here and serving in an Indigenous community without a church that is currently feeding me as I'm on the field. So when we arrived on the field, we had no believers in this community. We're working amongst the unreached Mixtec people, and as we were entering into a culture and a context where there was no church, there was no believers, there were no people who knew Christ, who we could gather with and fellowship with. And so as we've come from this culture from the United States where there's a church on every single corner, it's been really different to adapt from having so many opportunities to be in church, so many opportunities to be in Bible studies, to be involved in small groups, discipleship classes, sermons on Sundays, sometimes multiple times on Sundays or Wednesdays, or all these different events where you can go and you can be fed the Word. We've gone from that context and that culture to this Indigenous community where there is no church. And just now we're seeing the first family of believers come to faith, and we're starting to disciple them and grow them and to be able to plant the first church here among the Mixtec people. And so as we've been here on the field, it's been really challenging, because when I was in the States, if I was maybe struggling in my walk with Christ or really discouraged or didn't have time, as much time as I would want to read the Bible and to pray that week, I was going to be fed. I was still going to be able to go to church. I was still going to be able to fellowship with other believers. I was still going to be able to go to that Bible study and be fed the Word. But as here and we're on the field and we don't have those resources, it's a completely different dynamic in our walk with Christ. It's that we have to be intentional to study the Word, to spend time with the Lord, to pray. And it's something that a lot of times we have to fight for as we're here on the field. Because just like in the States, there's so many distractions. There's the distraction of work, the distraction of family and your teammates that are around you. There's distraction of community and people who want to spend time with you. And there's all these things that are fighting for your attention and fighting for your time, that if you're not intentional to spend time in the Word and to spend time in prayer, I've just seen the way that it's really challenging to do the work the Lord calls me to if I'm not first intentional to spend time with Him daily. And so as we've been here, we're discipling these new believers. It's been really encouraging because we don't have a church yet, but it's encouraging because we're discipling these new believers and we're having studies with them and discipleship classes where we're teaching them the Bible. And so it's been really cool to see as we've been discipling these new believers and they come and we gather with them several times a week and we're teaching them stories of the Bible. We're showing them how to read the Bible, how to study the Bible, how to truly worship. And this is just one of the small steps in building and planting a church here among the Mixtec. But as we've been doing this, I've been really encouraged because not only are we teaching them how to have this Christian fellowship and how to gather as the body of Christ and learn and grow together like a church will do here in this community, but it's also an opportunity for us to come together and us to be fed in this way. But it's way different than it is in the States and way different than it is in my heart language. When we gather with these Mixtec believers and we're doing these discipleship classes, we're already speaking in our second language. We're sharing the gospel, sharing stories from the Bible in Spanish. But then these national believers, they're translating it from Spanish into Mixtec, their indigenous language. And so the majority of these Bible studies and discipleship groups are in the indigenous language that I don't understand a lot of, and a lot of our team is still learning. And so it's a completely different dynamic of being here on the field and being fed by your time in the Word and having to really depend on the Lord every day for the different things that He calls you to do. And you're really reliant on Him in the way that it's way different than it is in the States, or way different than my experience in the States. And our team, what I really appreciate about them is that they are very intentional to make time to worship together as a team. We recognize this struggle and this challenge that we face as we're on the field, far away from our homeland, far away from our culture that we're more familiar with, far away from worshiping together with people in our heart language. And so as we're here in this Indigenous community, our team is really intentional to get together and gather once a month, and we just spend that time. We gather just for the purpose of prayer, the purpose of worship. And then along with that, at all of our team meetings, we spend time worshiping together, praying together, sharing the word together, and really encouraging one another. Our team is very intentional to make sure that we're fed spiritually and that we're encouraging one another in prayer, that we're holding each other accountable for how we are in our relationship with Christ. But I've just learned so much through my personal spiritual disciplines of how important it is to daily abide with Christ, to daily walk with Christ, and to really rely on Him to hold me fast and to hold me steady through all the different things that He has to bring me through so that He can do His work through us as we're on the field serving for His glory.